big poultry, PETA, Californicating our fuel systems, hybrid vehicle hacking, and speciesism. Let's do speciesism really quickly. A prejudice or attitude of bias in favor of one species, usually your own, and maybe another, and against another, with a presumption by the person creating this statement, this invented term, making it sound like racism, making it an ism, obscuring what we're talking about. By presuming that you loving your very affectionate, sometimes cat, or very affectionate and loyal dog is somehow denigrating every other species on the planet. So, like, you prefer your friends to a random person you've never met, which is morally incorrect. So, you're wondering who's wanting money here. Let's continue. You'd rather treat your dog very well and spend thousands of dollars taking care of it. No, I won't, because I know that that's going to be impossible for me to take care of them. I'm too poor. See, rich people can do that. I'm not rich. We're going to have to touch on that a couple of times. You're willing to treat your dog well, but not cattle. I grew up in a farming area, and people who have cattle they treated badly went out of business, and more importantly, were hated and produced really, really dangerously poor quality food. Yeah, I think all cattle should be free range, taken care of well, and blah, blah, blah. But that also does limit us to a certain population on this planet. How many people are lining up for the exit out of the system so that you can morally do this? Okay, let's try another one. I did a video recently on bug eating. The idea here is that if you're not aware of it, if you grow a field and just let bugs eat it and then harvest the bugs, you get a much, much higher yield of material by letting the bugs act as an intermediary to convert the potentially non-digestible parts of a plant into something that is digestible. Insects. I also pointed out that most of you already eat insects, whether you know it or not, because everybody and their uncle who wants to use these products because they're actually cheaper and in many cases better than what they can do some other way will go out of their way to have them reassigned to be some other damn name. They'll do everything they can to avoid saying insect parts. Next, you have an entire conspiracy theory built up on the right wing. This is going to happen again in this conversation. Against it, when people are choosing to do it, so you're saying we don't have a choice. And the next thing about, again, did I mention all of you out there eating seafood and shellfish? Some of the stuff you eat really are just bugs. You just don't want to admit it. And then finally, what about chickens? Chickens lay unfertilized eggs because the fertilization part happens so late in the development of the egg itself that they might just as well produce eggs constantly. And yes, if you look up PETA, that'll come up later, they have a rage fit about this, and they come up with all sorts of things. These are the same people who told you that UGG boots were made by slaughtering and mutilating fur-bearing animals a specific way when it isn't in any way done that way. And it's not misconception. They knew they were lying the entire time. PETA is also the same group that's not only promoting speciesism as an insult. Oh, you're a proud speciesist? And you're a proud propagandist because you keep repeating things that are demonstrably untrue, and you have no moral problem with it. That makes you a Goebbels. These individuals at PETA are the ones that not only at one time had to be caught euthanizing animals they got from animal shelters, lying about what they were going to do, because they believe in killing off every companion animal. And also having the audacity to have one of their members, a prominent one, who needed to use an animal product in order to not die. Do as I say, not as I do. Let's talk about the animals that they're talking about speciesism about. Well, they bring up the usual ones, cute animals like cows, pretty cheetahs and, predators and omnivores and scavenger animals too. I don't say that this is a moral position. I'm stating you're talking about animals that won't follow your rules that you want us to follow because chronically, food as a political statement advocates scream that humans aren't omnivores or meat eaters when we are. Period, full stop. Because look up the definition for omnivore and stop adding politics to it. That's also like looking up how an air filter works and not politicizing what a micrometer is or a micron. Please look up the differences. Or are there? Look it up. So let's bust this down and see if we can put a ring on it. In case you're not aware of it, human beings have adapted to be basically trash pandas without the fuzziness. We eat everything. At one time, we had an enzyme for digesting wood because it's a prominent component in some plants that we have to peel rinds off. At one time, we just eat the whole thing. We are generalists. We are not able, I am saying this boldly, to be purely vegetarian or purely meat eater. But meat eater kills you later than being a vegetarian as far as lack of nutritional value. Everybody scream at me. So anyway, let's talk about chickens versus milking cows. Chickens are relatively guilt-free because most vegan Nazis in Portland have them. Yeah, and I don't want to hear it. Did the chicken volunteer for you to take its, not abortions, which is what people would call it, they're not fertilized. Okay, only you're eating chicken periods. And you're at that point where you're just sounding really stupid and crazy. That's like saying that I'm taking the babies of trees when I eat tree nuts. Well, you are. Okay, what about the fruit that's literally evolved to attract animals to eat the fruit and spread the seeds? It's a bribe to get you to spread the seeds wider. I don't know how to respond to that. That's kind of where it goes. Being rich, you can get away with eating a quote-unquote vegetarian diet, and then every once in a while go in for the inevitable medical treatments to deal with the fact that you've starved your body of vital nutrients you weren't able to absorb, or you pay ridiculous overprices for food supplements that are they're animal products or they're bug products, or they lie about that. Yeah, this war on being poor and eating what you can afford. I can get a can of Spam. Spam is morally outrageous. Okay, what about the vegan Nazi meat byproduct looking stuff that's actually made from vegetable material? Soy based meat. Yeah, meat beaters, as they did on Saturday Night Live, or egg beaters. Well, they're okay. Do you know that they're actually made from products that they lie about? Yeah, you can look that up. It's actually a lie that they're not animal based. They are. There are some animal products. So the speciesism thing is, here's the argument. I have the argument that every cow should grow up being happy. I also don't think that cattle should be used for milk because that mutates them too much to where they couldn't survive on their own. If we weren't able to take care of them, we'd have to release them. It's best that they be original cattle. Oh, okay. Yeah, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with you treating them like pets. But once they get beyond a certain age where they start experiencing medical problems and start being miserable, putting them unconscious by carbon monoxide and then harvesting them will give them still a longer lifespan than they would have had in the wild. Because they don't live that long in the wild. None of them do. Neither do dogs or cats. Your little cute puppy-sized dog is food for whatever's available that wants to eat it. Wolves don't care about your rules either. They will eat you. So will a bear. Well, we're speciesism, right? It's not that we prefer or don't prefer things on a moral level. It's that people sometimes decide that they're willing to risk having a miserable animal physiologically become more susceptible to disease and hope it doesn't kick them in the ass, which it keeps doing. Or they're willing to save money by battery caging animals. See also Wuhan. We are a species that's stupid, first and foremost, and cheap and greedy. Getting rid of all that, however, most animals that live on a farm, if you're actually taking care of them, live a long life, a longer life, and a better life, because you keep them from being attacked by predators. They live with the predator, the human. Well, and then of course there's that analogy, well, the farmer's still evil. No, the farmer isn't evil. You're still benefiting. These animals are not able to understand that they're being kept by captors that will eat them. They don't get that, so they don't experience that problem. No, they don't. And I love these people like, well, we're in favor of saving the whales. Orcas eat people occasionally. We're not particularly tasty, and we're the wrong diameter and size for them to easily beat up and eat. Watch a couple of orcas take out your baby harbor seals, the little fluffy ones, or the harp seals. Please tell me how you're not favoring one animal versus another. I won't do it. You do. You favor every other animal but humans because, again, PETA. I'm bringing them up as my favorite. They're my whipping boy this week. PETA members have murdered humans. Okay, when you get so blind to this that you experience and practice speciesism against your own species. Now, this isn't a valid argument in most people's minds. Actually, yes, it is in the majority of the population on the planet. Next, PETA isn't loved in countries where they don't have the ability to be elitists with, the ability to set up a huge amount of farming to make fake meat so that they don't have to eat real meat, which in their case would actually drive them to the point of being a carbon footprint that would be excessive. Much less not even being able to do it properly and probably dying from starvation. Speciesism is bullshit. It's a way to create a demonizing slur against the majority of the population who can't afford to be so morally holier than thou that they can afford to do crap that they don't have to feel guilty for when they're 80. And if you don't want to feel guilty, buy from places that don't treat their animals bad. When they expose really horrible conditions, that's great. But then they go off and, let's release all the eggs because they're being subjugated. So they rot in the sun because they weren't fertilized. Let's release all these animals. You mean animals that can't take care of themselves because you didn't look up the minimum age for them to be wild animals? And if you're not aware of it, most people that PETA accuses of speciesism aren't guilty of it. Most of us people who keep dogs or cats find wild animals beautiful and think they should be protected at all costs. And we'd be right next to you if you weren't a bunch of attention-grabbing, politicized dickheads. So I guess this is basically an anti-love letter to PETA about speciesism. And I want to point out, Rupert Murdoch and the rest of them in mainstream media, specifically Rupert Murdoch, may or may not be behind getting paid money by Big Hen, Big Coop, by the egg industry in certain countries to demonize people keeping chickens in their backyard, doing PETA-style ads where they demonize them. They're murdering chicks. No, these are unfertilized eggs, you nitwits. Now, and again, chickens make eggs before they're fertilized, so they're already full size, so they have to expel them so they can try to do another egg that's fresh to have a higher likelihood of it, being fertile and being able to have chickens. These are the same people who say we're exploiting bees. Yes, we are. But there are arguably more bee colonies now because we want them. We just need to expand it to more than just honeybees, like right now. So let's get this done. Hens laying unfertilized eggs is an example of like getting milk from the cow, and we're demonizing that. Yeah, but you benefit from it and lie about it. And if you're one of these people that supports them, you really should consider this kind of thing. Next, PETA crimes of euthanizing animals while saying they weren't doing it. It's not that they were euthanizing animals. It's that they told everybody they were evil for doing horrible things. And no, in fact, this euthanizing thing is still cruel and unusual behavior. And it's elitism and it's speciesism because they have a preference against us having pets. Anyway, speciesism is bullshit. Big Hen, make a Big Coop, whatever, doesn't want you to have a hen house in your backyard. Backyard chickens are evil. They're being demonized because it cuts into their profits because they're doing the same thing the oil industry did. Create a shortage and profiteer. And then, of course, last and certainly least, PETA committed all the crimes they accuse everybody of because they're full of shit. Chicken shit. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with that.